You and I have talked briefly, and I want to go over some of the things we talked about. The FDA is holding an advisory committee meeting on opiates today, in particular the questionable clinical trial practice known as enriched enrollment. The agenda today has a majority of speakers who attended the very questionable impact meetings that we spoke about. I previously expressed concerns, and I think most of you all know about the impact meetings. That was the questionable pay to play, where they would pay to present themselves before the FDA advisory committees. The speakers today have not been disclosed, have it not even, I don't think, disclosed their involvement with impact if they had been partaken in those before. I find it imperative that this advisory committee has non-ideological presenters to avoid the appearance of industry influence on agency and decision-making, and it stands very much appears there will be heavy influence in today's advisory committee. Let me tell you what I'm speaking about. We got more and more opiates coming on the market. My state is ground zero. All of you all have. Every state has problems. And you and I talked about this, sir. There shouldn't be, to put a new opiate on the market, some manufacturer coming to you, there has to be something that it's replacing, something that's not doing, and this is a better, more improved. We take nothing off. Everything stays on the market as you bring more on. And if you can explain that to me and what we could do to make sure you're passing legislation that allows you to remove when you find an improving drug, if you could explain that to us, it would be appreciative.
Yeah, so first, we'll get back to you on the advisory committee meeting, but the issue that you raise, as we discussed this earlier before you came in, but to be clear about it, the most important thing I think you can do is give us a statutory authority in the area of opioids to require that anything new that attempts to come on the market has to demonstrate clear superiority in terms of safety to the old drug. Now, whatever else you want to attach to that, we talked a bit yesterday. It was pretty much the same conversation we had in 2016, as I recall. So it could really help us move more quickly and accomplish the common goals that we have.
Is your staff, are they aware of the Effective Act? That
yes.
Okay. Is there some ways that you think we can improve that to give you more
authority? We'd like to work with you on that,
okay.
And inviting your staff to come out to FDA, and we'll come see you.
I'm going to do that. I think she's working with your staff to make an appearance there and sit down and work with you all. Let me ask this. With today's meeting, what additional stakeholders have you invited? Do you make any adjustments so it'd be more of a...
No, we only had the conversation last night, so there wasn't time to adjust the meeting, but there was an open session. The gentleman you brought up, Dr. Kolodny,
sure
was the second public speaker, and I think, as you pointed out, it wasn't till he got 5 minutes, but I know you'd like for him to get more time.
Well, the person that I'm saying was basically a part of the impact before is the person got all the time, and he was definitely tied to the industry. If the pharmaceutical industry, I mean, you talk about the fox in the hen house, that's our problem. It's just killing our state. It just has done irreparable damage. Let me ask you this. On the recommendation, the external review of the FDA regulations of opiates report that you ordered was to ensure the FDA be as transparent as possible regarding decision-making. Advisory committees present complex scientific reviews of safety and efficacy of medicines. Most patients and the general public really don't have a background to fully understand the scientific studies discussed in these settings. Dr. Califf, you recently have been pushing to reduce voting in the FDA's advisory committees, even stating in a MedPage Today interview that voting doesn't matter. But they're the ones that do have the expertise. The public does not. And how does ending voting for the advisory committee meetings improve the transparency and the public trust that you advocated for?
Yeah, to be clear about what I said, what I believe.
It wasn't taken out of content, was it? So we never would do that.
A little bit, but generally, so what I'd say, we're pushing to have more advisory committees, not less.
Yeah.
The point I was making is that people focus on the vote, but it's the FDA that has to make the decision, not the advisory committee. What the FDA employees and leaders want out of the advisory committee is deep knowledge about the thinking from multiple points of view. What is it that is driving their thinking? And because it is advisory, people tend to focus on, like, if it's an 8-5 vote.
Well, here was the thing, you know the one I'm talking about, Zahydro, it was 11-2.
Yeah.
Please don't put this drug on the market. They overruled and y'all put it on the market. You weren't there, sir. They put it on the market anyway. We begged them not to. Then they had to, finally the company pulled it off themselves, but it was just horrific. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These are the people that have knowledge thinking it was dangerous to put it on the market.
I hear you. What I want is much more public discussion about the issues, less focus on like a cage match of who's voting for what and
Just
rushing out the
help
door.
us in states that have been affected beyond anybody's imagination.
Senator, as I told you yesterday, I helped start a not-for-profit in Dayton, Ohio, which is right there with West Virginia, as you know, in terms of death rates and other problems. I have a deep sense of what this is about, and we're going to work on it as hard as we can. I'm not pretending we got everything right, so I appreciate
We
your
need help
concern.
on that, but I was alarmed to see that the meeting that was going on today and how it was put together and the presenters and who had the time to do that. It just didn't look like it was very balanced.
I hear you.
Thank you, sir.